Hi, I'm Sex Ed Weekly, and this here's my friend. She's going to be guest teaching with us.
Hi, everybody. Welcome.
If you're new to this, basically, I am a blog dedicated to giving a comprehensive sex ed to anybody who's willing to listen. This is my second lesson. For the previous lesson, look on my blog. There are also text post versions of this if you don't want to listen to me talk. This lesson's going to be on female puberty. The previous lesson was just on general puberty. So puberty is when a child's body transitions into an adult body to prepare it for sexual reproduction. It usually begins between the ages of 10 to 13, but it can start earlier or later. It typically takes females about 4 years to finish puberty and reach sexual maturity. So most females finish puberty between the ages of 15 and 17.
This is no guarantee. Everyone is different. You could start earlier, you could finish later.
Or, I mean, you could just not start, which is another thing, and we'll get into that later on.
It is entirely dependent on you and your body.
So in females, the most obvious sign of puberty, especially to like anyone else looking at you, is breast development. In fact, actually 85% of females breast development begins before any other changes actually take place. Breast development, or thelart, begins on average at the age of 10 to 11 when a small, firm lump begins to develop under the nipple. This lump can feel tender, but if not, a female might not actually know that she's going into puberty. The firm lump continues to grow throughout puberty with the help of the hormone called estradiol, which is a type of estrogen hormone. And eventually, this lump will become the mammary glands that make up the harder feeling tissues of the breast. And as the mammary glands grow, this is visible by cup change. The areole grows in size, as can the nipples. And the areole is a small circular area of skin surrounding the nipple that can exhibit a darker pigment than the rest of the breast, like other than the nipple, which will exhibit a pigmentation similar to the areole.
Breasts are typically asymmetrical when they grow, which means they're not identical in size. And they're perfectly normal. Symmetry does not really exist in nature. At the end of breast growth, which is round about the age of 21, 90% of women have breasts that are asymmetrical to some degree, and it can be exhibited in size, shape, positioning on your chest, positioning of your nipples, your areola, or a combination of two or more. When it comes to difference in size, the left breast is typically larger than the right. Usually the size difference is not great, but in fact, only 25% of women exhibit a difference about a cup size or more, and only 10% of all cases are severe, which means multiple cup sizes.
For example, my left breast is cup size larger than my right, which is actually a little bit of a problem shopping for bras. But, I mean, there are ways to make it work.
I don't have that problem. Mine is that my nipples are, one of them is slightly bigger than the other, but it's not that big of a problem, not like that.
I mean, it's not even that big of a problem. So the second development in female puberty is pubic hair. As covered in the first lesson, female pubic hair develops, well, obviously during puberty, on the genital region. Pubic hair does not grow in all at once, so you're not going to get, like, I guess, I don't know, if you go look at pictures, you're not going to get all that at once. It grows in stages. First stage, light, thin hair grows on the labia, the outer labia. Then in the second stage, it grows on the pubic mound. Third stage, all the present hair just grows in thicker and there's more of it. The next stage is the pubic hair moving outward. And so it starts growing like towards the thighs, and then from there grows onto the thighs. Some people may experience hair growth upwards towards the navel, and actually in females that's still perfectly normal unless it's in like massive thick amounts, in which case that's actually a form of male patterned hair growth in females, and you should get that checked out. if it actually bothers you. It's not a bad thing. It's not a life-threatening thing. So if it makes you uncomfortable, go get it checked out. And usually pubic hair growth starts to occur after breast development begins, but in about 15% of women, it actually occurs before breast growth does. But just remember, the first part of breast development, you can't see it. So if you're getting hair before you're noticing breast growth, it does not mean you're in the 15%, because since the virgin start of breast growth isn't visible.
While the changes that you can see are occurring, there are changes that you can't or wouldn't see that are also occurring. When a female hits puberty, the hormones classified as estrogens begin to be produced in much higher quantities than before. You always have estrogen. It's just now there's more. Estrogens are responsible for not all, but most of the changes that occur during puberty. The increase of estrogen in the the pubescent female body causes the uterus, the ovaries, and the ovarian follicles, which are in the ovaries, where the eggs are, to increase in size. By the time they are finished growing, the uterus and the ovaries will double, even triple in size. By the time they're finished, this is also several changes that occur within the vagina, all of which are caused by estrogens. For one, the mucosal surface, which is the outer layer, of the vagina changes from a reddish hue to a dull dark pink hue and changes from a single to a multi-layered structure, which means new cells form.
For example, stratified squamous epithelium layers appear.
Before puberty, the pH of the vagina is around 7, but during puberty it decreases to between about 3.8 and 4.4 due to the increase in glycogen that the estrogens cause.
Glycogen is basically a hormone that's a reserve source of glucose for muscles, and the vagina is a muscle, so it has glycogen.
The pH will remain around those levels so long as the female is of reproductive age. During menopause, it's going to go back to 7.
So the last change that puberty in females causes is the introduction of the menstrual cycle, or in layman's terms, the period. A female's first period, or menarche, typically occurs about 2 years after the beginning of breast development. Menarche occurs occurring between the ages of 8 and about 16 is average and perfectly normal, though the most average age is between about 12 and 13. Not surprisingly, different countries have slightly different ages for menarche. So when you have first period is mostly due to genetics, though other factors such as excess of hormones in food or water, more consistent presence of adult males can cause menarche to start earlier. Obesity can cause puberty and thus menses to start earlier, or in the case of extreme obesity, for it to not start at all. Exercise, particularly in excess, can also stall puberty, or once a female has started having her periods, can stop them or make them become irregular. And also having an eating disorder can affect menses, causing amenorrhea or lack of a period.
Stress will do the same thing.
Yes, as well. And you can regulate it using hormone pills, but stress can still override hormone pills. So for the first 2 years after menarche, a female's menstruation may not be regular, or it may be regular right off the bat. Menstrual cycles are on average between 28 days, but cycles within 7 days on either side of that average, so 21 to 35 days, are normal. A female may not ovulate during the menstrual cycle, especially in the beginning, but the longer a female has had a menstrual cycle, the more likely it is that ovulation, so the release of an egg, occurs. Lack of ovulation during a menstrual cycle is called anovulation. I have a few statistics. So an ovulation occurs in 80% of the first year of menses. An ovulation occurs in 50% after the 3rd year, and then in 10% of females after the 6th year of menses. These statistics are from a study done back in the 70s and the 80s, but they should still stand because the human population, like that stuff, doesn't change so much. But, I mean, they might be slightly different, couple percentage points.
So, two other changes are going to occur. One is that the bones of the pelvis widen in order to increase space for an expanding uterus during pregnancy, and then also for a baby's head to pass through and into the birth canal. The pelvis does actually have joints in it, but the movements are measured in millimeters, so joints are not technically considered joints. This isn't counting the hip joint where the pelvis and the femur meet. Due to the pelvis widening, the hips also widen. The second is a change in how fat is distributed. Females experience an increase in fat storage on the body, particularly the breasts, hips, buttocks, thighs, pubis, and then also the upper arms. The reason for this is purely and simply to prepare the female body to play host to a fetus for 40 weeks. This increase in fat storage is actually also caused by the estrogen hormone group.
So there will be a number of posts on a few individual sections that appeared here. Males, don't worry, I haven't forgotten you. I just have to make a post still about it, and then also intersex will be covered in its own separate posts. Look for the corresponding text to this. I'll put a link below in case you don't want to listen to me talk for, 10 minutes, however long this is. But yeah, so check back later for more sex ed. And then if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in my ask box. You can do it anonymously, or you can do it with your Tumblr name. It's up to you. Have fun out there.
Have fun!